Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm ready. I am ready. Being in stadiums filled with League of Legends fans is my absolute favorite thing. You can feel it to the rafters in here.
Lock it up. Big
Let's
in front, in front.
Hey,
Kite back.
Yeah, we can win.
Yeah, we can win. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Oh,
I'm looking.
Yeah, go. Kai'Sa play. Kai'Sa. One shot. Nice.
Here's the stun from Sejuani. APA's down to a quarter HP. Pop Blossom ain't gonna do it. And Core JJ's the cherry on top.
Hit front, guys. Draven.
Nice. It's okay. APA trying to scare him away. Someone's gonna be charmed up here with the very front of the fight. A shutdown on Palafox. Team Liquid has slammed this fight and crushed NRG with an immediate burst. A beautiful engage. Dhokla will not 1v4. NRG will not come back. And Team Liquid will not surrender.
Okay, run down.
I'm dead.
I'm on Kai'Sa.
Shield up in three.
Nico no.
Shoot up,
Play with that zero. No flash. Nice.
Team Liquid's heading for the hills, but NRG is heading right after him. Pop Blossom to turn it around. APA with a hero play, but not quite yet. Team Liquid finally killed Palafox, but at what cost? NRG will mop the floor with them and take game 3 in the process.
Before today, I sleep.
Yeah.
I pray for the like 2 times.
Yeah.
In a row. In a row, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, did you see the I survived against the Kai'Sa at the volley?
Yeah. Jesus save.
Dhokla goes back into the third and Dhokla strike, but it ain't gonna matter. Summit still gets the kill. NRG are lambs to the slaughter as Team Liquid gets the ace.
It's okay. It's okay.
Look, Zeri.
Yeah, looking Zeri.
Zeri, no flash. Kite.
She has ult. Kite.
Yeah.
They have
Rell has flash.
Watch Mega.
Yo, Rell no flash.
Yeah, they still have Zeri ult.
We're winning.
Yeah, we're good.
Wall of ain't gonna find nobody as Summit goes forward. IgNar back over the wall of a massive head. Yawn and Summit being chased down. Palafox with an engage onto 2. APA tries to get away with the Emenes still burning, and Contractz looking for the damage, and he's gonna find it. NRG on the victory march. APA is engaged on. He will melt. He will burn. Team Liquid is done.
What about the record?
Everyone handshake, okay? Handshakes only.
We're going to finals, boys. Let's go.
Oh.
Hello everyone, and welcome to LCS Championship Weekend, delivered by Grubhub at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. I'm Dash, joined as always by Mark, Emily, Jat, and Raz to break things down for you today. One best of 5 stand between 2 teams and lifting that all-important LCS trophy. And we're just 56 minutes away from getting into those games. Of course, yesterday we had the full 5 games delivered to us, and I'm hoping that's a good omen for what we're going to see today.
Gonna get 5 today?
I hope so.
There we go.
There it is.
That's all we can do is hope,
Just
right?
don't look too closely at the bracket where Cloud9 has 2 3-0s. Those aren't there. They're absolutely going to be a 5-game series.
Some clerical errors.
I'll say, I feel like I got a lot of flame for my question mark after my prediction yesterday, even though I was wrong in the winning team. I feel like the series embodied the spirit
of the question mark.
3-2 question mark prediction.
Fair enough.
The question mark was correct.
Then I wait on bated breath to see if there's a question mark next to today's series prediction. Hours ago, the teams arrived at the arena to get themselves prepped and ready. NRG, I'm sure, still riding the high from the victory
Who's that guy in the background?
yesterday. We got Palafox here, who everybody should know his name by now. Contractz as well. Long-awaited return to an LCS Finals. Of course, they'll have to take down the Titans in Cloud9, led by Fudge here as they made their way into the Prudential Center as well. Again, a towering opponent to have to try and take down, undefeated so far in the playoff picture, and the 1 seed up against, I'll remind everyone, the 5 seed here, which has been part of the surprise of our playoffs so far.
Yeah, I mean, NRG has actually finished higher in the regular season, and bombed out of playoffs before, now as a lower seed, kind of making this lower bracket run is very cool.
Let's get a quick refresher on the series and the way it broke down just yesterday. Again, going the distance, fighting tooth and nail to make it here today.
Yeah, it was a confusing one, Dash. It started with Team Liquid getting a lead and then ending up losing it. Reminded me of the first round that they ended up having, where both teams, when it gets to the mid-late game, it becomes very hectic very quickly.
Back and forth series. Different people stepped up at different points in time. I think Palafox continued to look very good.
Yes.
Him and Contractz are probably the biggest reasons it went their way, but Dhokla had some big plays. Summit was going back and forth.
Yeah, and I also think IgNar had a lot of clutch engages.
Yeah.
Going up against Core JJ, I think a lot of people on paper would favor Core in that matchup. I mean, this play in particular was one of the defining moments of Game 5. IgNar's flash over the wall to really lead the turnaround in this big team fight.
Yeah, and I think you also saw a little bit more draft flexibility. Sometimes not always the best. We saw the Aurelion Soul game, which happens later on before Game 5 that we just saw. But you did see, I think, their comfort in being flexible, especially in mid-jungle, as opposed to what Pioshik and APA wanted to play yesterday.
Yeah, I was a little concerned when we got to Game 4 and it was the second fastest game in LCS history.
Woo!
It was wild, but then NRG bounced back. They even said they wanted to end the game faster.
Yeah, get out fast.
But that's
Just get out.
Jat, you asked that, and I said it's easier to forget a 19-minute game
is.
than a 25, 30-minute
Less time to forget.
Yeah, less to remember.
I just want to reference the interview that we had on the desk with Dhokla and FBI and kind of the levity they even had around that moment, right? They're like, hey, we're trying to break records. We're sad we couldn't get that one for you guys. Only second overall. But from here, let's talk about maybe some records that were set at least within this season of play, pulling up our Samsung SSD Fast 5 for playoffs specifically and taking a look at each of the members of our two finals teams against the LCS average.
This just tells me the LCS these two teams are way above the LCS average.
Let's go. I would hope so. To a degree, I would hope
It's
that's
still
where we
under
arrive.
domination by Cloud9, though. Look at that. Berserker, 3 minutes faster than FBI.
Already at 5-0.
Yeah, you see, we're done.
Pack it up, boys.
They are winning in everything.
In every category.
It's so rude. They've won back-to-back titles. They have all the All-Pros. They're winning Fast 5. What can't they do?
Well, we'll find out if they can win the LCS Championship as well. Reminder to all of you at home, though, that Samsung has partnered with Sleeper and Fantasy LCS, and you can earn bonus points each week for drafting the fastest performers. Plus, use code SSD990LCS to get 10% off 990 Pro 1 and 2 terabyte SSDs right now because the offer ends today. So make sure you hop on it as quickly as possible. Now, from here, I wanted to play a little bit of a game. You know, we're early on in the show. And so I wanted to talk about, or rather challenge each of you to make the case for a most important player. And the way we're going to do this, everybody at home, is they don't know who they're going to have to make the case for.
Yeah.
What I'll have them do, we'll do one at a time. So, Mark, you're going to be first just because you're closest. You're going to close your eyes. I'm going to mix up these heads.
You hand it to me. I trust you.
No. You got to feel around. And just, boom, pull. No, not me. Don't touch me. Touch one of the heads and grab it. Boom.
What do I get?
Oh, my goodness.
Wow, what a hard case. What a hard case to make for my...
To be honest, I didn't check his eyes. He could have been looking.
No. Let me tell you about this case. I am the best player in the LCS since I have joined the league. I am absolutely dominating in late game team fights. I'm the only person to make Ashe look like a real champion. Not only do I have great hawk shots and engages with my ultimate, but my kiting is incredible. I have great flexibility with my picks. I'm great in the late game, and my early phase has been much improved. And if
What would you do without
me,
jungle ganks?
I don't need them. There's plenty of times that they don't send resources my way. I will carry the game late as long as I'm not absolutely shut down.
Allegedly.
There it is. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
There's 30 seconds, a pretty well-made case. Anybody got a rebuttal to it real quick?
No, I'm ready for this.
Hard to argue against
Allegedly,
that one,
you
right?
call for a lot of
Okay.
cakes.
All right, Emily, you're up next. Close your eyes.
All right.
All right, and I'm going to mix
You're
them up.
gonna have to give this to me because...
Here, you just feel around and you just, boom. Okay, grab that one. Perfect.
Ahead.
Okay. Wow, you guys are...
Wow.
I feel bad for the two of you. All right, Blabber.
I am the best jungler in the LCS. I can be incredibly creative and efficient. You joked about, Berserker. Sometimes he needs some attention down there. I can provide it to him. I'm undefeated on Maokai. I can play a variety of different styles. And somehow, I always find a way to counter jungle and get to level 6 before my opponents so I can then fight them and win.
Blabber, why do your teammates keep undercutting your MVP case?
I don't know, man. It's so unfair.
That's true.
They're
Love
just
it.
trolling me.
Okay. All right.
This is disgusting.
I'm throwing a wild card in here. So
I hate you.
Oh,
get
no.
ready, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you grabbed two. I'm taking that one away from you. Ready, go.
I mean, I'm Palafox, and I am criminally underrated. I think almost my entire career, if you had to ask the question, like, just switch me with another mid laner. Like, let's just take Emenes, for instance. Let's put Emenes on NRG and see how NRG does. Let's put me on Cloud9 and see how Cloud9 does. It wouldn't even be a question about whether or not we would 9 of the playoffs. I can play Azir. The other guy can't. That's going to be incredibly important in this series. I've put Jojo Pune to the lower bracket. I've taken APA out of this series.
Well done.
I am the most important player in the series.
You beat
I don't
Glory.
care
You
if
beat
the
Glory
time's up.
too.
This is my
Well done. I also want to point out to everybody that Chat, for the first 10 seconds of his answers, kept his eyes closed. Behind the
He's
face.
committed.
He just held it up, eyes still closed, and he was just still going. Okay,
disgusting.
I don't know if I can reach out. Raz, close your eyes.
Just throwing it.
All right, here you go. Get in there. What do you
Get in
want?
there.
Boom.
Question, who's the best jungler right now in playoffs? You
Blabber.
might say Blabber, but the reality is somebody has been far more impactful in getting Palafox ahead. You have made the case for Palafox. Guess who's been camping for Palafox? Oh, how about top lane? Dhokla, actually, in the last series, in the first round robin, guess who was camping the top side of the map that actually gave him the leads versus Summit? It's been Contractz.
Except for that Poppy gank, but we...
Palafaker looks like it.
You get those moments. You get those moments. But in general, Contractz is the reason why NRG has been in this moment. 6 years ago, he was at Worlds. He's going to be there again, and he's stunning.
Well done. And he's stunning.
Yes.
I like
He's
that.
stunning.
I like. You can't argue with that last bit at the very least. All right, well done for the four of you randomly making cases for most important player out there on the stage today. From here, though, I do want to talk about one of the four that we had mentioned, which is Blabber, because while there's plenty of historic moments to be made for each of these individuals, I think Blabber's journey is specifically interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because of how much he has accomplished in his career and how dominant he has been and what is on the table for him today, not just from an org perspective, but as an individual, Mark.
And even in just game one, he has the opportunity to set the record for most number of wins through 300 games. He is currently tied with Bjergsen at 206. If he wins this, he'll take sole possession of first place with the best win rate through 300 games. If he loses it, he'll end up there with him, but this gives him an opportunity now to put some extra importance in game one for C9.
What's his win rate if he wins?
69%.
Nice.
Nice. Blabber himself, though, right, and his entire career timeline is something that's interesting to track because there's all kinds of conversations around legacy in the LCS, right? And kind of where there was a break point in time. A lot of people looked at Blabber as soon as his first rookie split to say, keep your eyes on this guy. He could redefine the league. He could redefine greatness.
Yes, I remember when he first came in, you were hearing from players that would work with him, with Jensen and all that. It's like, okay, well, he is incredibly aggressive. He's really talented mechanically. Got to put him on a leash. Like, it's one of those moments where it's like, but the thing that he's really honed in is the flexibility. And now he is a veteran on that team that knows what he wants.
But Emily, I think there's something to what Raz was just saying about the magnetism of his play and how he just pulled you in with his style.
Yeah, so we have a little highlight reel here. The first play is actually the play that made me fall in love with Blabber as a jungler, and it is not successful, actually. This is against Griffin in 2019 in group stage. It's coming off of an attempt topside where he ganks there too, and I was like, I appreciate this aggressive nature out of then a very young NA jungler. I was like, I love to see this, and he's evolved since then, but I still love those aggressive moments. Sometimes he gets a lot of heat for them, obviously, because these plays don't always work out, but it's something that he always brings to C9 since he started for them that I really love.
And while Jad, that flashiness is what captivated a lot of people's minds, I think the evolution of his gameplay is what a lot of people are looking at now, yourself specifically, to become magnetized to him at this point.
He's not just a brainless team fighter. He can throw saplings for map control as well.
Oh.
Raz talked about the evolution. This is it.
This is what he's evolved to?
He is undefeated on Maokai, 14-0.
Same brush, too. Look at that, brush control.
Without those 14 Maokai wins, he would only have a 68% win rate. Not as nice.
Not as nice.
That is true.
Well done.
Absolutely insane
Undefeated
play.
on Maokai.
Look at this.
Well, to celebrate his performance on Maokai, production gave us this lovely, lovely basket. It's in the shape of New Jersey. Look at this. Isn't that cool?
And we're lighting
Can
up
you
this place
actually
up.
reach people up there?
Yeah, I mean,
I went a little on a sapling. There you go.
No way.
Hey, if you're sitting close to us, you're lucky.
that went into an empty area of the stands, but
They're not heavy enough. I'm not going to throw my arm out.
I was gonna say,
arm is not good enough.
This is where we prove. This is where we prove to
Yeah.
people our lack
Oh,
of
nice.
athleticism and the very reason why we're on these desks and not so much
That was a good
anywhere
one.
else. I gotta make sure I don't rip my cord.
All right, last one.
Okay, you got this. I'm sorry, guys.
oh, there's a lot more people behind
I
us.
didn't get that one up there.
I didn't see all the people. Well, we're out.
This is Blabber's Maokai sapling.
I have to keep the show moving, so here, you guys can keep throwing. From here, we are hopping to an old LCS staple. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This or That, presented by Verizon. It'll be the 5 of us on the desk here trying to tackle the questions of the day. Fans at the arena also took part, though. So we're going to dive into the first question, and it is an arena match with $1 million on the line. Pick a duo partner, Zven or FBI.
I gotta say, Zven. FBI is a great player, but Zven plays support and ADC. Double up. And he's much taller than me, so he'll look down on his opponents. It's free.
FBI. Zen, kind of washed up now.
Zven, no questions.
I'm on the
It's
Zven
Zven.
crew. I'm on the
Yeah.
Zven crew,
Yeah,
it's Zven.
1,000%.
For sure.
The flexibility of champions.
Why does the flexibility matter? Are you going to play the AD carry in arena?
Yeah.
No, but he can do
play
either. No, but
Oh,
he
wait,
also.
no,
I don't
way
care.
better
I'm
than
not.
me. Never
I'm
mind.
not going to play the AD carry in
True.
arena.
Number one, he can play either role, so he's going to mesh with whatever your best.
And I'm not an AD carry, so
Yeah.
I'm picking the
Fine.
AD carry.
But Zven
I'm
can also
an-
play the AD carry. The
I'm
other
an
point
AD
is
carry,
that
and I would
Zven
never pick
Zven
Zven.
can backseat you the whole way,
Yeah, that's
having played both roles. And so I will just be like,
think
what
I
do you
like
need me to
being
do,
told
bro?
what to do?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think you do. I know that you don't like
Exactly.
So we're a split desk on that one. Let's go ahead and dive into question number 2. On this patch, with 2 weeks of scrims, who would win? Current C9, peak 2016 TSM, or peak 2019 Team Liquid? This, that, or the other thing. Let's see what the fans had to say.
I always love like the 2016 roster. It's one of my favorite rosters for TSM, and they're like also really good friends too, which also helps friend buff. The current Cloud9 roster is also really good. They kept their players, so they have time to mesh. But I have to give it to the 2016 roster. It's just no contest.
Oh, 2019 roster. Yeah, I'm sorry. I love that roster. Yeah, we love that roster.
Well, C9's already winning, so it's C9.
This one is kind of tough, I think.
We could spend a long time.
We could.
So we've argued about this before and how much like small information, even in that time frame, that current players know that I don't think would be intrinsic, even if you're assuming that they've played, that they're like scrimming together on the same patch, etc. So I would still go the C9 roster, actually.
Yeah, the 2 weeks of scrim thing makes it less easy to debate. So I'm going to ignore that part and just say who was the best. I'm going to go 2016 peak TSM.
I want to see any of
that's
these.
true.
Ignored the question? You can't do that.
Why not?
They do that all the time on This or That. Are you kidding me?
True.
It's fine.
They make arbitrary decisions just for the sake of doing it.
All right, okay.
Well, I did it. No, I believe. I'm also with Emily, though. I would go current C9. I do agree with like the general sports
Under these
adage.
conditions, yeah.
That just, and over time, right? The general level of pro play will continue to increase with knowledge gained and things like that.
I want to see 2016 double-lift against current Berserker. That would be
Pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Can we make that happen? No, we can't. So it'll live in our brains forever. Question number 3. Is the underdog buff real? Yes or no? What do the fans have to say?
Cloud9 always wins. That's just how it is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we're going to win Worlds, NA, all day. So, what team? TL, 100%. Or C9, I got to give them to them.
Absolutely not. No way.
Yeah, NRG's proven it. I mean, 3-0 in every team out there.
Of course, when you have no pressure on you, you definitely have room to play your best when there's no stakes, nothing to defend, and you can just come at it with everything you have.
Yes.
I like I like the Team Liquid's fan logical extremism to point out that no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're winning Worlds because we're the underdog, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe underdog buff doesn't matter that much.
It is a real buff. It doesn't mean it's gonna work.
It only goes so far though.
Yeah.
It's statistically proven for NRG and how they beat the top tier teams in the regular season and Cloud9. It's a thing.
They lost 3-0 to Cloud9 earlier in the playoff bracket.
Look, I'm just saying.
That's because at that point, Cloud9 were the underdogs, right? Because it was a 2-0 record up to that point in favor of NRG.
dodged them in the bracket.
Clearly,
Happens.
underdog buff works.
Yep.
Sure.
See that? Mental gymnastics.
Wow.
Boom.
Yeah, no. I do believe underdog buff is real, but I also agree that it's marginal, at best. It's not necessarily going to swing a series. That's a wrap for This or That. We're headed for a quick break, but while we wait, our friends at Red Bull have devised an all-new competition for fans here in Newark, the Aramalan, and let's check in with Degon for more.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy Giga Chad Degon here at Red Bull Aramalan, day number 2. Yesterday, we gave out a ton of prizes here at the epic 100 PC LAN event at the LCS Finals, and it's going to be even better today. How's the event been for you so far?
10 out of 10 experience. I have never been to a finals before, so it is so surreal to be here and be surrounded by so many Link players, I suppose, right? But I'm having a blast.
The event is super duper cool. The lights, everything looks amazing. There are a ton of people lined up to play ARAM. It's a great time.
It's been amazing. This is my first time at an LCS event, so I'm very, very excited.
What champ do you always reroll when you get in ARAM?
Honestly, Nunu.
I have a profound hatred for Darius because I'm a Demacia main.
I'm gonna have to say Darius.
Who do you think is going to win the LCS Finals?
Cloud9, of course.
But I do think Cloud9.
I think C9.
Bringing in a new roommate to save money, is that the plan?
But we gotta find some way to save, so say hi to Glenn from work. Hey, that's my mom.
Yeah, I think I have a much better plan. We switched to my plan from Verizon for just $25 per line.
And that price is guaranteed for 3 years.
All on the network we can count on.
It's a good plan.
It is a good plan. Glenn, looks like we're not gonna be needing you, so I'll see you at work.
Oh, later, Mom.
Save big with my plan, starting at just $25 when you bring your own phones. Guaranteed for 3 years. It's your Verizon.
Dude, I know these noodles are your specialty, but they are just not hitting tonight.
I know. I want that.
Me too.
It's beautiful.
Breathtaking. Tiramisu.
Is there anything she can't do?
I wish I could reach into the TV and grab that fancy cake for you, but I've recently learned that's not how TVs work. Go for what you really want. Go for Grubhub.
We live with a genius.
Go for cravings. Go for Grubhub.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.
My mom was very supportive of like letting me have hobbies and just playing games and enjoying what I do. Her letting me have like this opportunity to even attempt to go pro, very grateful.
To start off, we've got Cloud9. They're welcoming in rookie jungler Contractz. He's looking to be that missing piece to get Cloud9 back to the very peak of the North American LCS.
He was just another young, talented, extremely mechanically proficient NA jungler, just wants to outplay everyone at every possible moment.
Here comes Contractz! And Contractz trying to turn around. Jensen does not Contractz! He's over the fast blood! Kickstarter into the turret range! Woo! Just breaks the game over his knee, looking for number 5. Here comes the damage up, but he does! 5 solo kills for Contractz!
My rookie year was definitely expected for myself. I feel like that was like the expectations I had for myself at the time. I was a very confident young player.
Finds it, gets it! Oh my god, Contractz!
That was probably like the peak of my career where I was like the happiest and I was playing the best and, I had everything set up for me.
Making it to finals for Contractz as a rookie, winning rookie of the split, that's a super impressive start to a career. It's shocking to think how good he was, to think he wasn't on that team again.
C9 became my home, I was really happy there. I was, they were very supportive of me and, my ideas and what I wanted to do. And unfortunately, I made some mistakes, made some hasty decisions, which led to me getting off of C9. I had a really good offer from C9 that I wasn't, I just kept wanting more. I was too greedy. And like I said, I was young, I wanted more, right? I made mistakes. My first year of LCS, I felt that peak, right? Like the top 8 at Worlds, and that feeling is something many players don't get to experience. So just remembering back to that peak and how it felt to be there, I'm just trying to get back to that point.
Six years ago, making his debut on Cloud9, capturing the hearts and eyes of many, making a trip to Worlds, and now 6 years later, staring down that team that gave him his original shot in order to perhaps take a domestic title home for himself. What a story this kid's journey has been.
He is a massive fan of One Piece and anime in general,
True.
and he is living his own like little shonen. I gotta
Little
say.
redemption arc?
Yeah, you go, you're the prodigy right away. You pop off really hard, and then like Sasuke, you come back down to earth a little bit. There's stronger people than you in the universe.
The pacing is questionable.
Sometimes, yeah. there's some filler arcs in there where you're trying to speed up. But yeah, Contractz has earned his spot back on the final stage through hard work, which is kind of like the message of all of
And
those.
still the underdog moving into this this final best of 5, right? And I think that's where we go next, Chad, is the idea that in order to lift that trophy, he's going to have to go through one of the strongest teams the LCS has ever seen in current Cloud9.
Yeah, they've said they're trying to have an undefeated playoffs. Since switching to the double elimination format, there has not been a team to 9-0. Currently, Cloud9 is 6-0, but I will say a lot of those games were very close or actually comebacks for Cloud9. So let's pull up their goal graphs from their 6 playoff games, and specifically around the 20-minute mark, you can see that 5 of their 6 games are either even or behind. They have been godlike team fighters, but just as a reminder of what their playoffs have been like, it has been filled with very close competitive games.
One of these lines go off the graph.
One is not close. 5
All right,
are.
Raz. I could have made it 6K at the bottom, but this looks good.
This does look good.
I like them breaking the floor for their comeback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The point remains, right, that while the 6-0 scoreline itself looks clean, you could argue that in a number of these games, there were chances for their opponents to take it and hand them a first loss in the postseason already.
And we've seen this multiple times throughout the regular season. Cloud9, when they find themselves in a deficit, they are so good at team fighting and finding creative angles to get back into the games. That's been something that I have been loving from this team. Mostly, their team fighting has been exceptional.
Now, all that said, we talk about a window for a team like NRG, and Jat, I'll notice that while there were those dips, while there were those even marks on the graph, following the 25-ish minute mark, they go up and to the right.
Yep.
And so, Emily, I want to turn to you to try and understand what it is about this team that they can recover or even just blow away what were close games into absolute shutouts.
I'm going to talk about something everyone loves. Minion wave management.
Let's go! Juice!
So, NRG are going to take the Drake here. They're going to be up about 100 gold after taking this. They've just gotten a double kill. One thing to note is that Dhokla does not have teleport here, so he's not going to be able to respond to a top wave push coming out from C9. What I really want people to watch is Fudge coming up here on the Jax to push out this wave, and then in particular, Berserker, the player that we always talk about as being so important in these C9 teamfights, the best player in the LCS right now. He is going to get so much off of this bot side just because of the way that the waves are going to push here. Sivir is actually going to have to respond to the topside push from the Jax simply because, again, Dhokla doesn't have teleport. He can't respond to it after his back on bot side. And here's Berserker just shooing through this turret down here. He gets all of it while Jax is able to get plates on the top side as well. At the end of this run of play, even though NRG got the Drake, even though they had just been coming off of getting 2 kills on the bot side jungle, C9 actually ends up 1.1k ahead on this entire exchange just out of farming minion waves and plates.
It's free gold. It's right there on the map. You just got to take it.
He loves
So
money.
yeah, when you think about
money.
all of these things in terms of C9 coming back in a lot of these team fights, it's because even when they are in a gold deficit, you see these cross-map plays, this attention to lane assignments, this necessary, we need to make sure that Berserker is getting fed through these plays, and then he shows up in team fights and just blasts people.
It's definitely something that the best teams in the world do well, is always be in a good map state. So even if the fight itself doesn't go your way, it's not as bad as it could be because they're not ending the fight next to Baron or next to a turret that they then grab as a follow-up objective. And so NRG can get really coin flippy with their fights, and they actually out-skirmish C9 sometimes. But in the postseason, they have not been able to be in a position to extend those leads as far as they potentially could.
And additionally, when you talk to the players right after a game, and they are more than willing to complain about the game themselves,
Yeah, true.
You'll always hear from the players, it's there's one thing, our lane assignments weren't good, or Fudge will be like, I was over-grouping this game and I needed to just be on side lanes. They will be more focused on what they can be getting aside, because Blabber is going to be really focused on being able to talk about his own efficiency, and the same is going to be the case for their lanes.
And one thing you can see glimpses of this from NRG's games as well. You could even see it in the TL game where they were keeping pace and kind of keeping ahead of TL, even in a game where TL looked like they were very set up to win. Because they were paying more attention to their side lanes and their minion waves, they are much less consistent about this than C9 are.
All right, well, here's where I want to throw one more little wrench into the machinery of it all, this conversation, is that if we recall the regular season, while it was a 3-0 victory in that best of 5 most recently, it was actually NRG who took the 2-0 in their regular season meetings, Jat, over Cloud9.
Are you calling a reverse sweep today, Dash?
I mean, we had one already. What's to stop us from repeating?
And this was actually the beginning of NRG's comeback. You can see they were 1-4 before that first Cloud9 game. We're like, whoa, huge upset, or actually a precursor of things to come. Throughout the entire regular season, NRG was able to step up whenever they played a good team, and then they fell down whenever they played a bad team. And that's one of the reasons they've maybe had some confidence throughout this playoff run, because there's nothing but good teams in the playoffs, and they've been beating most of them.
Well, and they had to insane mental fortitude to go through the beginning of their year. If you remember correctly, at the start of this split, they get perfect games in their first game. Their next game is that colossal Immortals throw where they're up 15K or whatever it is, hitting Nexus effectively, and they end up losing that game. So their first 2 games were about as bad of a season as you could start, and here they are in the finals.
Yeah, and if we just talk about going a little further, not just this regular season, what Contractz ends up doing a lot of the times, his identity is impacting lanes early. While Blabber a lot of times will try and be as efficient as possible. So it's on the lanes to just be aware that Contractz is going to be coming. And another small thing too, God, it was like Spring Split where we saw Dhokla go bot lane on Sion, get him a lead, go top lane. They just are a creative team. A lot of that, some of it can be credited to their coaching staff, and a lot of it can be credited to the players who naturally in the game can recognize moments in which they can get small lead, but still recover gold on the opposite side of the map and not lose too much.
It was actually super fun talking to Dhokla about that too when he was on desk yesterday. He's like, actually, it's even easier with Rumble than it is with Sion because you can just push up. And again, that's the kind of flashes of creativity we really do see from NRG. We see these runs of play where they look so good in terms of their map control, and it's just finding that consistency.
And actually, I love this shot because you can see the support system that exists behind these players, right? And while at times it's maybe been poked at as a meme, the number of coaches that exist on the NRG roster, I think it speaks to the development of the core three on CLG, their move over to NRG, and to maintain that support system.
And I think they took some offense to Steve's tweet yesterday popping off, but you can see 5 positional coaches, head coach, strategic coach, mental coach. There's a whole ecosystem of support that this team has developed.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just the ones on site, of course. You know, who knows who else is contributing to this team, and it's this vast ecosystem of, you know, you get off the stage, you have so many people behind you cheering and supporting you and telling you the things that you're doing right. It's just really helped bolster your emotional capacity in these moments.
Yeah, talking to Jonathan yesterday, I was like, wow, it seems like every like coaching is a watch party, and he's like, yeah, our room is just a NRG watch party.
Not counting their remote coaching staff.
Yeah, it's a big staff.
It's a giant staff.
Hey, and no lack of support as well from the fans here in the arena. And I think, again, the way that the fandom has grown around this team for you know, again, attaching themselves to the identity of a team that wasn't just going to come in and dominate from their inception, but was going to have to work, going to have to stumble, fall down a few times, and ultimately learn from those mistakes, Chad.
Yeah, and this also links back to the fact that Palafox, Contractz, Dhokla, that core three have played so many games together. Part of that maybe ability to stay together and get through arguments is having that extra voice in the room to maybe help with the debates where you're really stuck. So what NRG has done is very hard to do, to have that many voices and still have the players speak so highly of the infrastructure. It's an impressive accomplishment by NRG.
And even the kind of management group taking over from CLG to NRG and preserving that continuity is something that I think a lot of times in sports, when you see a new ownership group, they want to blow it up and make their own pet project. And the fact that they didn't tamper with it too much, I think a lot of the change that you saw in the bot lane was something that the rest of the team was down with. It wasn't like coming from upper management deciding that. So it is worth noting that this team is in their first organizational split with these group, but it is a lot of continuity.
And just one additional point to that, Mark, is the idea that they're doing it in the current era of esports, where you're seeing a lot more downsizing, paring down, looking to cut. And that's not the case here, saying, no, we're going to continue that investment and the development of our players. Now, that's, of course, the story there for NRG, but Cloud9 still very much the favorites. And when we talk about what this means for some individuals, we've hit the Blabber point. We'll get into that a bit more. I also want to talk about the experience and the titles that the rest of this team has, most notably Zven.
7 Western titles. That is insane. And if you just see like what he can achieve here, one more title onto that list, then you can get tying up with double-lift here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super, super impressive. Obviously, this also includes his days on G2. But yeah, and the asterisk is not actually meant as a slight. It's just that both Caps and Mickey have a chance to win more titles this year than Zven does. But even with that, this is super impressive to do across both regions he's played in. And you know, you heard from him at the top of day in his replay files talking about how he swapped to support just because he wanted to win. And it's worked out.
And the fun thing about this would be his second three-peat. He got that in G2 when he was in Europe at the time called European LCS. The fun fact that I have is the fact that when he clinched that first three-peat, that third win, he did it versus IgNar's Misfits. He gets the chance to do that against IgNar's NRG today.
And I like to call for the three-peat because organizationally there's a lot to be chased after here today as well. Not only will Cloud9 manage to become the third team to three-peat, they would also tie TSM for most LCS titles as an organization.
The legacy of Cloud9 just continues to grow. It used to be TSM wins domestically, it's C9 who does it internationally, but now C9 can tie TSM but also have more recent power. You can see they started the LCS very strongly before hitting what felt like a rough patch for them, but would still be a huge accomplishment for another org.
Yeah, they felt like the bridesmaid, never the bride, in that sense where they can't get over the hump.
Always making finals.
It's a good problem to have, but I'm sure still frustrating for that organization until they could finally break that streak in 2020. But it was during those COVID times, so they couldn't do it in front of fans, and it wasn't until later on that they could finally have these moments where they are celebrating in front of an arena, in front of the crowds, and I think it's a huge moment for them. And it also ties in the fact that they suddenly got Blabber on that roster, that the dominance returned. Perhaps.
People always put asterisks when they were only winning spring, summer was like difficult for them, and then finally they've just been dominating consistently, and now they're here today.
Well, so Cloud9 chasing a whole lot today when it comes to legacy and cementing themselves as one of the winningest orgs in LCS history. I love that little fancy. All right, we're gonna take a quick moment to judge this tier list. What do you guys think?
To see what's S+.
What is it, tier list for?
Diana's S+.
This is like a This is a waifu tier list.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
All right.
There's a bird, Anivia?
Okay. D tier though.
That's true. That's fair.
Bird is D,
but it's an option.
Okay, and so while C9 does have a history of both winning, but also, as we mentioned, just making it to the finals, always being either that team to win or team to beat, I think it's also an interesting discussion to talk about the young players who have dedicated such massive parts of their lives to getting to this point, just to taste it once, Jat.
Not everybody has it easy. It's very easy when you're in finals all the time to think that, I'm going to be here again. But there's a lot of players who've played a long time without making finals, who we are seeing here today. FBI, his first finals was actually with 100 Thieves. But today, Palafox and Dhokla become record holders for having the most LCS games before reaching their first LCS final.
Absolutely insane to see all that hard work paying off. And like you were saying, on the flip side, for a lot of the guys on Cloud9, they did not need to put in that same level of grind to reach this point. Most of them got there very, very quickly. Emenes and Blabber in sub 20 games. And Zven, that is LCS games we're talking about. When he was in the EU LCS, he rocketed up there with G2 when they finally made it into the league.
Yeah, I was going to point exactly that. It was 22 games, I believe, that Zven had before his first finals. So obviously, that was actually back on Origin when they lost. Yeah, when they lost to Fnatic. So.
Yeah, and it is in credit to Jack and the C9 systems. They consistently have top players on their rosters. They make changes slowly over time. There's not these moments where they're blowing everything up and starting over. And you can see how it's almost like a cheat code if you want to be a successful LCS player is get on to C9.
Just get drafted by C9.
There it is. And if you're always winning championships, there's always the fear of stagnating. So the fact that they're challenging their players consistently in that system is really important, and it's been working for them thus far.
All right, well, let's talk about both the team finals appearances and the individual finals appearances, because it's just another way to color, the experience that is on that stage today, and again, the weight of responsibility that each of these individuals might be feeling. From an org perspective, this is NRG's first appearance in an LCS, a final 13 though for Cloud9. That is massive.
Yeah, NRG opted not to inherit COG's history. That's why it is their first finals as an organization. The 13 finals appearances is just absurd.
All right, but you want to look at something that's in some ways even more stark? Let's flip on over to the individuals, because Zven himself has 14.
Oh my gosh, look at
the OG Niels right there.
That is OG Niels right there.
But also, I would say FBI being up there, IgNar being up there, it's not like NRG is completely inexperienced. They do have veteran players who've been here before.
Yeah, we talk about FBI making 4 of the last 5 finals now in North America. That's absolutely incredible. IgNar had that back-to-back performance with FlyQuest in 2020. So it's all dwarfed because, Zven is kind of blowing the top off that graph. But even Blabber himself had like 8 or 9, I think it was, finals appearances. So there's quite a bit of history in this matchup.
And even going back to Zven, it's funny because you get to see the mentality that he has. Earlier, you got to see notes from replay files where he talks about his best chance of winning and going to finals and going to Worlds was going to support, and he had to drop the ego. He's somebody. Oh no!
They won today.
You're exactly in the right place. That man only cares about winning, so he's here for a reason.
I love that. All right, 15 minutes ahead of game time. I actually want to get y'all on record. We're also going to take a look at what some of the rest of the talent and community think in terms of how the series will play out today. Let's take a look at those predictions, and from there we'll break down why it is we think the series is going to go that way. We've got at most on, okay, so first thing I noticed, most on the desk is 1 game given to NRG, and that's Jat and Emily who represent that. Well, you got Mark, you got me and Meteos.
You got a couple
I gotta be honest, I went straight across the top just assuming that was a Cloud9 logo. You wrote NRG 3-0?
Yeah, because Meteos and I know what's up, and Kobe is also with us, 3-2, a little bit harder fought, but
Kobe, I'm not gonna fight.
Explain yourself.
I'm just wondering if Meteos has adopted your prediction strategy.
I don't know. Meteos probably just has a good brain on him, too. I haven't actually talked with him at all.
I do think he has a good brain.
He literally got signed as a content creator for C9. He is just here to troll just like you.
I'm not trolling.
Accept it.
All right.
All right. I'm actually going to talk about my 3-1 prediction just because, obviously, I did not go C9 3-0. Only because I do think, again, this NRG team has improved through their playoffs run. The first 3-0 that C9 had over them, 2 of those games were very close, one of them coming down to that Sivir ricochet off of turret as they were trying to end. So I do think that NRG will take a game, but I still think this series is massively C9 favored.
Yeah, and I think with C9, it is very difficult to take them down. We know they are the large favorites, as you can see by that graphic. I'm actually a little surprised that the fan vote is even at 24%, just based off the fact that they are 6-0, the fact that when Cloud9 has won the winners bracket final, they've always converted it to an LCS championship. The fact they won the last 2 titles, the fact they won Spring, they are, to me, the overwhelming favorites.
Okay, hold up. I'm going to get to you, Raz, in just a moment to talk about your prediction. I want to make sure that the arena can truly hear me when I ask, because Jad said he's a little surprised that 24% voted for NRG. Who in this arena thinks that NRG is going to take the finals?
Nah.
Okay.
24%.
Now who's voting for Cloud9?
Yeah.
Give me a percentage on that. Is that 20? Is that 24?
That sounds about 24-76.
Is that 24-76?
Which is surprising because that factors in the underdog buff. Usually, when there's an underdog, as an American sports fan, you have the storyline that you want to root for.
Right, they absorb all the fans of the other teams that they took down along the way. Yeah. All right. Okay. That felt a little bit more like 33% to me.
Yeah.
Just saying. No, I don't know. All right, Raz, talk to me, though, because, well, we've got the 3-1 representation. Why is it that you, for example, are so confident in that 3-0 Cloud9?
Well, historically, it feels like in playoffs, Cloud9 turns it on. Another thing that I got to mention is, like, yesterday we were talking about the fear of the adrenaline getting to the players. It's going to be nothing like the final stage where the crowd is packed. Cloud9's been here multiple times, and they have just been dominant regardless, especially in the playoffs. People will pull out the times during the regular season when they've been shaky. They have not been shaky here, so it's just confidence there. I think NRG will make it competitive, so it's not going to feel like a 3-0, but a year later, you're going to look back and like, yeah,
look,
that's tough.
I'm with you, Raz. I was 3-0 as well. While I can absolutely see a world where it goes the full 5, NRG takes games, at the end of the day, I'm trying to evaluate both teams playing at their peak. And at that peak, I just think that Cloud9 is untouchable. And a big piece of why that is because of some of the individuals on Cloud9 and imagining them at their peak. Chief amongst whom is this man in Mark Z's hands right now, Berserker. In my opinion, the best player in the LCS right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think JoJo well earned for his MVP, the fact that he was able to get that team within 1 game of first place. But when people talk about the best skilled player in the LCS, many people look to Berserker, and he has cemented that, in particular in the postseason, 2-time player of the series, first in almost every category that's going to matter, not even just role, but also across every team. He has been hulking out, and he is the biggest problem that teams need to solve, because if you don't hold him down, which is very hard to do, you just win games off him in the late game.
Yeah, and we talked about I talked about in the minion wave thing, just how he gets these advantages and then is able to absolutely deliver in team fights. Like, C9 has absolute confidence in him, and I know they like razz him a lot for being like, oh yeah, you're calling for jungle ganks, you're getting a lot of attention, but he repays that back in full. He's always a massive late game win condition for them.
A lot of these games have actually been Berserker diff.
Yeah.
And for a role that a lot of times people say is all about whether or not your team supports you is impressive. He'll take an even game or a game with a slight deficit and just play a team fight so well that it will actually change the game.
And when you hear from AD carries within the league about like, oh, what AD carry champion is good to play, all these things, it's like, when they talk about Sivir or Zeri, and like, oh, you know what? Only Berserker can play those champions. Only they're allowed to play those champions because of how proficient he is as a player.
Also, I just want to call that out. Kobe, Flowers, Azael coming up, getting ready for the cast. They got to run through the fan tunnel over here, MasterCard fan tunnel. That was pretty dope. Players will get to do that in just a bit. So a little spoiler. Sorry about that. But Berserker, obviously one of the big reasons why we think Cloud9 is favored. But I also think, to your point, Emily, that support system behind him, right? The idea that it's not just, oh, from minute 0, I'm going to be creating all of these advantages on my own. The team understands his value and will play to that value with the expected return.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that is why, like, a lot of times I feel like there's a weird backlash of like, well, they just feed the AD carry all of their resources. It's like, well, if that AD carry is popping off, showing like insane spacing and targeting in these team fights, why would you not give them all of your resources?
Well, it's also the fact that he makes his own plays sometimes too, like that Ezreal game that he had where he roams up top, ganks there, gets a solo kill bot lane, and then shoots an ult down to follow up on a gank somewhere else. Like he gets to find ways to insert himself into the game. He's not just hanging back absorbing resources.
Yes, he identifies when he has lethal on a moment. I remember in the Player of the Series interview that you were having with him, he was like, oh, Ezreal was just inting there. There was that one moment. Also, him and Zven are just dominating lanes a lot of the times, and the players around him buy into that system. So we talk about Blabber being efficient. It's because when he's full clearing and he realizes that is a diveable bot lane, he just drops what he's doing and he dives that bot lane. So it's, yes, the system around him supports him in doing it, and they always get that payback.
And I love the name drop on Blabber, because while we talk about Berserker as obviously the primary carry, if you wanted to maybe give the title of playmaker to somebody else, Blabber would be one of the guys that I'm looking towards being that, you know, the instigator fights action across the map, especially early on, to put Berserker in that position later on. And on the flip side, you've got Palafox, who I think is largely charged with doing a similar thing, but from the mid lane as opposed to from the jungle, really being the engine of that NRG roster.
And I think he's really making a name for himself this year in particular. He's had a very long journey through the LCS system. Briefly jumped into the LCS back in 2021 on FlyQuest, now all the way back to the finals on this NRG roster. He's been playing great.
Making a name for himself now, because it seems that just a year ago, people struggled to remember his name, courtesy of Travis Gafford. Take a look.
Excuse me, sir. Hello. For $5, who is this pro player?
Oh my God, are you a pro player, man?
Hello, hello. For $5, who is this pro player?
I play mid in LCS.
All right, thank you. Hello, hello. Okay, for $5, who is this pro player?
I have no idea.
Diamond? Okay, all right. Hi, for $5, who is this pro player?
Boy.
Okay, for $5, who is this pro player?
Something Fox. Palafox?
Yes, okay, congratulations. You get $5. For $5 for either of you, who is this pro player?
I don't know.
Excuse me, sir, hello. For $5, who is this pro player?
Palafox.
Oh!
I don't need $5. You're chilling, brother.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, sir. For $5, who is this pro player?
I can't help.
Diamond. Oh, okay. Excuse me, for $5, who is this pro player?
I'm so sorry. I'm an LCK fan.
No hard feelings, no hard feelings.
Thank you. Hello. Hi. For $5, who is this pro player?
CLG Palafox.
Hey, congratulations.
$5. Woo!
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay.
And we have to report that Palafox is still at large, wanted for being criminally underrated. Remember this man's name.
He's still better than NA mids are supposed to be. Still on the rap list.
Oh my God, stealing a spot at Worlds from JJ, no.
Yeah, and throughout these playoffs, that video was from last year at the World Championship. It's been a year to now, and in these playoffs, he's been performing at a very high level. The one series they lost was against Cloud9, and you can see he played okay in that series, but he was better versus everyone else.
He feels like the primary carry threat for this team, whether that is with his actual playmaking as well. On Azir, he's so proactive and looking for scoops on targets when they're out of position. He will commit his flash for it. He's so aggressive, and that's why it's important if NRG are going to potentially pull off an upset here, that he's having a good game in matchups that he's comfortable in, that he can make plays in.
Yeah, looking for that Palafaker div today to take down a Blabber and Cloud9. And how cool is it that once again we get to talk about that 2017 Scouting Grounds class? No, legitimately, right? Where one player had, skyrocketed to that kind of level of becoming a household name in the LCS. And for Palafox, it's been a much more, storied journey up and down, but through true grit, he has managed to get here.
Yeah, I love talking about this 2017 Scouting Grounds. And obviously, we've talked about so many other names. Like, obviously, Blabber is one that pops off. And then we would be like, okay, and Spica, and, Vulcan.
Yeah.
And Palafox was conveniently kind of left off that list, right? Because he got shuffled around a lot in Academy, is now coming into his own. So it's another cool throwback to this phenomenal Scouting Grounds class in terms of talent we had.
Yeah, what was in the water in 2017?
I don't know.
I need to find more of it, though.
Seriously. Spring water.
Oh, you gotta love it. All right, well, once again, when we talk about stakes of all of this for Cloud9, it comes down to looking for the three-peat. I mean, it has been said by Fudge himself, they want to be the team to do 5, but to get to 5, you got to get through 3 and 4 first. And so a lot of weight and pressure on today's best of 5.
It is actually really hard to win a split of LCS because contrary to some people's belief, everyone is trying really hard to win that split. So you have to be better than 9 other teams who are doing everything in their power to win. You can see some of the past 3-time champions, TSM, TL with a 4-peat, and now C9 going for the 3 with Blabber, Zven, Fudge, and Berserker there the entire time.
There's definitely a special place in history in LCS when you're able to pull off the 3-peat. There's a lot of great rosters that we look back on favorably, but the ones that can pull it off across multiple seasons, because that's the thing, 2 back-to-back can happen in a single patch in a sense where it's on year 13, season 13, but if you're able to do it across years, it is so much more impressive to me given how much the game changes. The fact that you can do that is incredible to me, and that's why you start seeing these teams remembered so much better once they're able to pull that off.
Well, now on the other side, like, we talk about this consistency, right? And how unwilling sometimes LCS organizations are holding on to a roster or a core. We talked about the C9 core. This topside core of NRG coming from CLG, having them stick with them, sticking with a lot of their coaching staff members, and seeing that pay off in their now first finals together is just an amazing story.
When you make wholesale changes, it's hard to really identify, like, is it going to work? These pieces coming together doesn't really make sense. So when you do, as a coaching staff, as like, GMs in this organization, like, make small moves, changes, like good on being C9, that was like, okay, Licorice is a great piece for us in the top lane. But when a small, well, pretty big wholesale change happens in the region, allowing Oceanic players to come in, then Fudge, who's been developing a lot of the times, they throw him up. They have faith in that. Even though the system has been working, you don't want to be stagnant. For NRG, you give them credit because, once again, you're like, keep the team together, even with whittling success, but they made key changes like we talked about for the last 4 minutes.
To your point, Jad, about how difficult it is to even win one championship, we saw what it meant for the NRG guys. We don't have to guess because we saw it on their faces, and they told us afterwards how much it meant just to be in that matchup, let alone qualify to today. But I think it was Contractz in his post-game interview yesterday who just said, I just want to win the finals, right? And it just is it's so clear how that sits in his body as a dream that he needs to realize here today.
Yeah, I think Contractz maybe wants it more, but that doesn't mean that he's going to even deserve it more, because the Cloud9 team, they are the favorites for a reason. Blabber, for me, has been there through all of it. He sat on the bench, split time with Svenskeren, watched Svenskeren win an MVP, but then in his very first split went 17-1, won a title, and it's been the best team in the LCS has been the team with Blabber for going on 4 years now.
And Mark, that's where I want to come all the way back to Blabber as an individual and what he is on the precipice of accomplishing here in game number 1. A single win away from eclipsing Bjergsen as the winningest player through 300 games.
It's insane how many stakes ride on just the first game of this. We're talking about the 3-peat potential. We're talking about maybe the first win for a lot of these NRG guys, and standing in their way is Blabber, who is, if he can just get the first game, going to set history as the winningest player through 300 games. And I think if you need any extra bulletin board material for NRG to go out there and try and disrupt that, that is a huge motivation to stop that from going their way and get yourself started to upsetting C9.
Yeah, at worst, he's going to tie it right at that, even in a loss in game number 1, but looking to take that one in sole possession. There's a lot riding on the line today, as we have already talked about, for Cloud9 as an organization looking to put together the 3-peat. Blabber looking to get it done in game number 1 and take that winningest percentage through 300 games. For NRG, taking the mantle from CLG and trying to put a stamp on the LCS all their own, looking to unseat the Kings. We only have one best of 5 that separates both of our teams from hoisting that LCS championship trophy. And with that, it's time for us now to dive into the opening ceremony with Thutmose, presented by MasterCard.
Cloud9 remaining undefeated.
C9 is the superior team.
Bad boy. Run wild. I'm on a mission and I won't stop. No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. Run wild. I'm on a mission and I won't stop. No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go.
NRG are doing it. Nobody else has got it done so far this summer in the LCS.
But a Quadra in the end and NRG, they're doing it.
You gotta let me go. You gotta let me star on chandelier. If the war's young, body go crazy. To the peace, anybody that can take me. If the war's in the seas, so it made me. New force in the youth, for the real youth. Just non-stop till the break of dawn. Shots coming out, for the best to run. Fires in my eyes, can't stop me now, cause I'm young and numb, trying to have some fun. Don't judge me, you only live once. Homies in the back, so we gotta live it up. Money in the leg, everybody get it now, get it now, get it now, get it now, get it now. I'm on a mission and I won't stop. No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. Run wild. I'm on a mission and I won't stop. No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. Please out of my way. No rules in the wider games. Naive, so an L is a win. Got a grin on my face, and we're off to the race. Going faster, we never slow down. At the head, we go pound for pound. Put them out downtown. Cops coming, everybody get down, down, down. Moving too fast, I'm moving in slow-mo. I'm a guy with an action you don't know. Only ready to put your pride aside. I'm a Benz, leaning more like a Volvo. Your best stuff looks like my words. Synapses, fire, and burst. Got the whole crew with me, better do damage, you know we ain't. I ain't gonna say this again, but this is my time, better look at mine. I'm a genius in the skies with my heart on my sleeve. And you folks will block to a king in his prime. Everybody get in line. Sit back with the stars in line. I finesse like my life on the line. Was dumping in the rough and now I shine. Tonight, I'm on a mission and I won't stop. No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me run wild. I'm on a mission and I won't stop. No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me run wild. I'm on a mission and I won't stop. No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. Run wild. I'm on a mission and I won't stop. No destination, but it's worth a shot. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me go. New Jersey, make some noise.
New Jersey, make some noise for Fumbles! Prudential Center, are you ready for the LCS Championship? Who's here to see NRG? Who's here to see Cloud9? Let's get to it. First up in the top lane, it's Fudge! Versus Dhokla! At jungle, it's Blabber! Against Contractz! In the mid lane, it's Emenes! Versus Palafox! At AD carry, Berserker!
C9 has won at least one trophy every year since 2020, and this year might win 2. So I understand why fans don't want to. They want to see someone else, right? I get that. I wish I could deliver, but as long as I'm on C9, we'll keep winning.
They still have the Sivir. They want to end the game. It's 7 seconds left on Fudge. FBI, he took aggro. They shut him down.
I can understand why no one wants C9 to win again. I don't want C9 to win again, so hopefully we will be able to be the team that will be able to stop a three-peat from happening.
And FBI goes in a killing spree. 6 days here with a double kill back over to the NRG AD carry. And NRG absolutely slammed the fight.
Blabber, multi-MVP winner. You know, Zven has, what, he has 6 titles, 7 titles almost. I've slowly realized that I can compete with them, even though they have all these accolades. My team and I play very well together. I think we play fast, we play aggressive. And the thing that separates good players from great players is having that killer instinct and that confidence with it. That's something that I have right now that I'm not losing anytime soon.
Fox back in mid, but now he has to flash back away. He knows how much trouble he's in. Contractz, flash, chomp,
We work very hard as a team, and if you want to beat C9, you got to work harder than us because you're not better than us.
C9 has just been talking a lot for a while, and no one's been able to shut them up yet, but hopefully we'll be able to be the ones to be able to do it.
We just got RIO'd by them the other day, and you know, we got kicked in the mouth once, but we're not gonna go back down easy, right?
Support right over his shoulder. IgNar in trouble with the equalizer. And they call him Big Dumps for a reason.
They have a lot of fire. I think they want it so bad. Those 5 guys, like I think only a few guys ever won.
For how many years they've played and never won, I'm gonna be on guard. I know what these guys are coming for. I know how badly they want it.
You can even change the name of the organization, but the faith remains.
To finally have that trophy, to finally be able to lift it up, would just mean the world to me. It would prove that all the hard work and dedication that I've put into this game has paid off.
It might mean more to a team like NRG to win their first final, but doesn't mean we deserve it any less. We work harder than anyone else in the LCS. The whole year, every single day, we put everything into this. So we're gonna win, and we're gonna deserve it when we do.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the LCS 2023 Summer Finals. I'm Captainflowers. I am joined by Kobe and Azael, and it's time to see which one out of C9 and NRG gets to walk away holding the trophy today.
I already love New Jersey. The crowd made a fan tunnel for us, and we're shouting our names, high-fiving us on the way out. I'm more pumped for this finals than I've been in a long time.
It was so cool. So cool, man.
The crowd has been amazing. The energy in here has been incredible. Yesterday, we were treated to a 5-game series. I'm hoping for another banger today.
Of course, NRG's going to have to step up to challenge Cloud9. Remember, this is a repeat of our upper bracket final. NRG had a couple of good moments in there, but it was ultimately C9 that prevailed. Now, after that neck-and-neck battle yesterday up against Team Liquid, NRG's really going to have to show us everything they've got here in the final battle.
Absolutely. You know, Cloud9 has had some close calls, including both Game 1 and 3 versus NRG, where NRG potentially could have won those, but Cloud9 has yet to drop a game in this playoffs. They're looking to make the run undefeated.
And last time around, when Cloud9 were on blue side in the first game of that series, they banned away the Azir, they banned away, target banning the Ivern from Contractz as well, which I think is wise. We can go over some of the history now because we have a remake of the lobby, so we have a little bit to go over the champion select here. But I also think something that has really not had a spotlight, but could become a very big tool for NRG as well in their attempts to try and get revenge on Cloud9 is that Poppy flex pick, because it's one of Contract's best junglers, but it also has a really good top matchup, tank matchup into a lot of the prominent top lane champions at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dhokla brought out Rumble, you know, in his series yesterday, was looking really good on it. So I think that's something that Cloud9 is also going to have to take into consideration that Dhokla hadn't really been playing previous. We also saw the rise of Tristana in priority. You know, is that going to be as contested as it was yesterday? You know, Kai'Sa even falling down below the Tristana priority for NRG, who was having so much success when they could get that pick early.
And I think the #1 player a lot of people are going to be focused on today from both teams and everybody in the audience is Berserker. This guy has stepped up so much in so many games for Cloud9 over the course of playoffs. He has showcased himself to be, in my opinion, the best individual player in the LCS playoffs in summer 2023. And NRG is going to need a plan to shut down his carry threat.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be incredibly hard because he's such a beast in team fights. You know, that is the thing. I remember we had this cast earlier in the year with Huhion, and he was just saying, you know, it's one of those things where Cloud9, you can be playing them even, you can be playing them close, then all of a sudden a team fight breaks out, Berserker has a triple kill, and you feel like the game is over.
And that happened immediately afterwards, and it has happened in a lot of games. So we will definitely have our eyes down towards the bottom side of the matchup. A lot of people also looking towards the mid lane here. So Palafox being on the rise. Palafaker, how is he going to stack up versus Emenes? Definitely some hot debate as far as their positions in the All-Pro and those two possibly switching.
Yep, just speaking about Emenes, he needed to relog his client real quick. That's why it's taking an extra minute for us to get into the first champion select of this best of 5. But we're moving along, and now it's time to go. Let's see how they're going to play it out. Cloud9 in the blue, NRG in the red to kick off the series. C9 is going to begin by getting rid of Xayah, that stay back, survive the dive type of AD carry.
Let's see if they continue on the trend from their previous matchup. And it was, again, the Azir ban is back. Let's see if they also follow with the Ivern. If this is Ivern ban for Cloud9, these are the exact same blue side bans that they used to defeat NRG in their previous matchup in the 3-0.
And it's just really interesting to see, are they more worried about some of these other picks now, having seen the extra games, having seen NRG make that run in the lower bracket? And they have a lot more data, and they are taking their time with this final ban here. Perhaps they weren't expecting the Tristana ban to come through, but it is going to be banned out there on red side. So now the Poppy is going to be the ban that's added in. You talked about the potential of the flex pick. It was a key pick for Contractz yesterday. Yes, he had the bad game in game 4 on it, but he had some incredible games throughout the series, really looking strong on it. And it shuts down so much of the playmaking, so much of the dive that has become very, very popular in this meta.
Exactly. The steadfast presence provides so much value, as well as the ultimate for those objectives, but not going to be on the table this time around. So Maokai ban off the table, and guess what? Fudge and Renekton. Name a more iconic duo. I will wait.
Well, I could name Blabber and Maokai, who almost got served up his first loss on the pick by NRG in their previous matchup, but they managed to turn it around. NRG is going to ban that pick away from him, so it's LeBlanc, Trist, and Maokai banned out by NRG, Xayah, Azir, Poppy banned out by C9, Kai'Sa, the first pick for C9 to the surprise of no one.
Absolutely, and I think that the Renekton hover was basically saying, I know what you're going to play. You know, he's expecting it to potentially go over to Dhokla. Dhokla has been playing a lot of it. No Yumi fans here today? Surprise!
Everyone's playing to the ground. Emenes also had the seat rest for himself. But the Kai'Sa this time around, instead of getting answered by the Ezreal, which FBI has been doing a lot, he's opted for that Zeri answer to it, which has become prominent as well. And if you pair that with the Rell here, the flexible Rell pick that could go into either hands, really like this 1-2 from NRG.
Yeah, but when I see Zeri, I'm always more inclined to feel like Rell has a higher probability of going in the jungle than she otherwise would, just because of Zeri's natural tendency to want to have a bodyguard, want to have a pocket pick in one of those enchanter types that unfortunately for her have fallen out of the meta. But we're going to see how NRG navigate that later on in the draft. C9 locking in the Sejuani for Blabber, locking in the Jayce alongside it.
So it's not the Trist, but it is a strong physical damage mid laner that is going to allow Berserker to play AP Kai'Sa down in that bot lane. The Rumble is going to show its face here once again. So going to be bringing, you know, potentially the need for some physical damage here from NRG. So I think if you're over on C9's side, you're maybe targeting some of the physical damage junglers, physical damage mid laners that could be popular here.
And the problem is, both of the main physical damage mid laners have been taken care of. Tristana banned and Jayce taken away here by Cloud9, so could get a little bit difficult there.
All right, Kai'Sa banned out by NRG. Nocturne banned out by C9. They don't want to deal with that ability to shut the lights off, make it so you can't see when somebody's coming in for the flank, see if Rumble's approaching for a long-range equalizer or something like that.
And again, you know, you already have a lot of magic damage here with the Rumble. Zeri has quite a bit of magic damage as well, so just banning out those physical damage options. You can see Kai'Sa and Jax both banned away there from Fudge. It's looking like a Renekton on 4 potentially for me from NRG, you know, based on these bans. So we have to see, is C9 concerned about it? They could ban out the Renekton here if they don't want to deal with it, you know, if they're worried about something getting swapped around. But, you know, we are expecting still the Rumble to be going top.
All right, it's Jax banned out by NRG. They do not want to give that over to Fudge. Ahri, the final ban for C9, wanted to keep that away from Palafox. NRG hovering a Lulu. This is one of those traditional Zeri partners that I was talking about back when everything was all about enchanters. That's what you would see, but no, it's still an engaged support meta. They're going to pick up the Rakan. He does have some peeling capabilities, can apply some heals and shields, so does a little bit of both, but still heavily on the engage and one of IgNar's favorite champs.
Yeah, and that was one of the most sought after pairings here from the start of playoffs, the engaged potential, and you really need that CC to keep people on Rumble's ultimate, so you get the maximum effect out of that Rumble ultimate, that damage over time. Rell and Rakan serve that up perfectly.
So it is going to be Renekton coming in here. Nautilus would make a lot of sense. It is going to get locked in. Great pairing with the Kai'Sa through bot lane, gives you that guaranteed engage. Something you really do need against the Zeri. That point and click lockdown of the Nautilus ultimate could obviously be followed up by Shock Blast, by Sejuani ult, etc.
Yeah.
So it is going to give them a lot of power there, and we're just waiting to find out what the final pick here is going to be. You know, expecting it to be a Palafox pick here on 5. And he is going to need some physical damage. It's going to be the mid Lucian coming out here, unless they're going to do Zeri mid. Zeri mid just got played a little bit. Emenes actually played it. So there is potential, but I am expecting it to be Lucian mid and the Zeri bot. We'll see what Palafox wants to do, but he has been one of the guys that's played some of the ADs mid. Obviously, he's big on the Trist. When ADC Kai'Sa was popular mid, that was also getting played. But the only person in LCS we've seen play Zeri mid was actually Emenes, his opponent.
Yeah, and ever since they changed Lucian's passive to be able to be procced by allies CCing opponents for you as well, it's really nice when you have a jungler like Rell that could come in, proc that for you. Actually have a lot of kill threat in addition to being a strong laner.
Yeah, this is really interesting. The Lucian just not something we're seeing, you know, very much of. It is a very aggressive pick. I do think you can match up pretty well against the Jayce, but I think it puts some pressure on NRG to get things done early. When you're looking at Lucian and Rumble as a combo, this is a duo I think that really does have some pressure to make things happen.
I mean, I'm expecting these junglers to be ganking level 3 for sure, especially towards mid lane here. Contractz and Blabber, very, very aggressive junglers. I really want to get into this one.
Dhokla also taking the Ignite, it looks like, on the Rumble. We'll see if he swaps over at the last second, but you know that can call attention up towards that top lane as well.
Ignite on your top laner, an unusual pick on your mid laner. When you're the underdog, you gotta find a way to get creative. You gotta set them off balance so you can hit them hard. And I love to see NRG coming into this game 1, ready to try to do just that against a Cloud9 that has proved indomitable so far in these playoffs. It's the finals, it's game 1. Let's rock and roll. All right, we're on the Rift for the first time today, and what I'm personally hoping is going to be 5 games. Yesterday was a very high-octane matchup in the semifinals. Hopefully the finals are going to be just as kill-heavy. NRG starting off with a 4-man invade in the topside jungle.
Yeah, Dhokla's trying to push Fudge back, so they don't actually have vision of the rest of them coming in. Dhokla's hoping that they are just assuming that it is just the 1-man invade for vision. No one from Cloud9 is actually going to respond to it, but their goal was to bait Cloud9 to try to collapse, and they will be 4 stacked, excuse me, and try to look for a kill.
I love when these teams are playing around the expectations with these matchups. This draft is very volatile draft up here, especially for the top side of the map. So planning that level 1, getting that early vision so you know where Blabber is going, or at very least where he is starting.
And it is, in fact, going to be the Ignite here for Dhokla. He didn't swap away to TP at the last moment. But we have Gabby ready for the interview with Coach Thinkard.
Thank you so much, Azael. Thinkard, tell me, why did you decide to start the draft so creatively for game number 1 of the finals?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of throwing down the gauntlet. Insanity popularized Lucian into Jayce. You have a lot of early pressure. They still have some strong champions, but you can see kind of around the globe, Zeri rising in prio, so we're just going to try to see how it goes.
Lots of pressure on both of the junglers to make something happen with these picks as well. How is Contractz feeling once again going into the matchup against Blabber?
I mean,
he's really confident. He's confident in Blabber's head a little bit, so I'm expecting him to get some jungle advantages early.
Rent-free, as you said previously, right? We'll go ahead and see how things go in game number 1. Back to it.
All right, I want to highlight as well, a lot of the effort we're talking about that mid lane has been invested in here by Cloud9. Make sure that Emenes has vision on both sides very early, just to watch out for those possible Contractz level 3 ganks.
Yeah, absolutely. They talked about Insanity popularizing this pick, which is interesting. Maybe more of a scrim thing that he's been playing a lot, but using that Lucian into the Jayce, it's going to be something that is really, really powerful in these early levels. So much of your lane bully power from Lucian, though, just counts on you hitting those piercing lights through the minions. You've got to be accurate with those. You've got to get those pokes down onto the Jayce.
Exactly. It's one of those unique spells where the range is extended significantly through the minions. It's one of the trading patterns that can allow him to deal with a champion like Jayce that would traditionally have that advantage.
Top.
But we might have a dive. Level 3 here in the top lane. Contractz coming in. Fudge is still only level 2 here on the Renekton. Contractz will look for the Shattering Strike, but he misses it. Crash down, gonna find the knock-up. Fudge is low. Blabber reinforces. Dhokla's gonna take the turret shot, and Fudge lives. Contractz wants to try to bring him down, but he cannot do it just yet. He tries to remount, but it will not work. Cloud9 outplays the dive. 2 for nothing.
2 for nothing. Blabber was so quick to respond to that, but Contractz really messed up the dive. He pulled aggro and then stepped out of the turret range way too early, so the turret went over onto Dhokla and he couldn't finish the play.
Meanwhile, bottom side, a 2v2 breaks out as man 1v1. Emenes down to 150 HP. Shot blast misses point blank range, and Palafox survives.
Oh, the action continuing here. All 3 lanes going at it. But for NRG, that is a heartbreaker. You get flashbacks to game number 4 of yesterday with the devastating top lane action there. But we're going to have another look.
Contractz flash engaged towards Emenes, who uses his own flash to escape it.
If you don't succeed, try again. Contractz going to keep going at it. Needs to keep staying aggressive. Can't get on that back foot just because the first play didn't work.
Yeah, is continuing to try, continuing to be patient here, and they've even brought IgNar over as well to go for him.
But look at the farm in jungle. When you spend this much time trying to make ganks happen, and you actually failed the execution on the top lane one, Blabber is so far ahead. He has actually been able to get all his camps down. Emenes in trouble.
IgNar goes in for the flash engage. Palafox with the Ardent Blaze gets energy on the board.
Send more men, and they finally take down Emenes. NRG does it, but they're in a gold deficit because of the jungle farm, because of the outplay on the top side there with the tower dive as well. Cloud9 have a very healthy lead, and it means Blabber now can go invade the bottom side of the map because Contractz spent so much time looking for these ganks on the Rell, and Blabber always prefers to have these farm-heavy routes. This Sejuani is going to get very, very fed very quickly.
That's the thing about Blabber. He's not just topping the charts in stats when it comes to kills and assists in the early game. He's also usually got gold advantages. He's got farm advantages. The man knows how to efficiently path around the jungle, and it means even slight mistakes can set you seriously behind.
Absolutely. He's just incredibly efficient, and efficiency is the name of the game for jungling, right? His critics will say, all he does is 6 camp clears, but Palafox, we're going to have to pause this.
Yep, it's a 3v1 under the mid lane. The Arctic Charge isn't going to get it done just yet, but now Emenes can easily supply the damage. Zven ends up taking the kill, but the 3-man play from C9 gets the job done.
Beautifully done there by C9. Even though Blabber, he's not able to hit with the Q, the aggro is held by him on the turret, and everyone's able to finish off that kill onto Palafox. He was hugging the tower, trying to make it difficult to land those hooks, but it just didn't matter with the 3 men.
Yeah, exactly. Cloud9 say, we can bring 3 mid as well, going for the dive. And the critical part about that dive for Cloud9, it's even higher value because so much of this minion wave dying at the tower right now. You see the pings even on the minion wave here. All those minions dropping away. Palafox losing out pretty heavily on that one. And there's going to be a CS deficit as well as the jungle in the mid lane here.
Oh, hook on bot side.
Yep, Zven gonna get knocked up into the air now as FBI tries to fire back. Berserker and Zven still pretty high on HP though. IgNar at about 60%. Zven still walking back all the way underneath the turret to disengage this as Contractz and Palafox both gonna rotate into the bot side river to start up the Drake. Remember yesterday we had a very early Drake focused series. It was Team Liquid largely that was driving it, but NRG are used to this Drake pace now.
There is a big minion wave building top right now, but I think it's a little bit too far pushed for Blabber to get up there for a top side play and answer. So Cloud9 just gonna push their turrets instead. Gets 1 turret plate mid for Emenes in payment.
Man, this is a 2,000 gold lead. Not even 7 minutes into the game. Absolutely massive at this point for C9, as NRG need to stop this bleeding and stop it yesterday.
I mean, when things go bad and you don't have teleport, it is so punishing, right? They failed the top lane dive. There's no TP on their Rumble. The death on Palafox is when he had no TP as well. So you're going to lose so many minions. You're going to lose so much more than just that initial kill off of it. And Blabber getting the invade, already has level 6 now, quite up on experience over Contractz. And now this could be a potential dive after he takes this camp away if they want. I mean, Fudge is 6, he's just going to be basing though.
I mean, Blabber is living in the NRG jungle because Contractz has been so gank heavy. Their wards on bottom side, those have been there for several minutes already, and he's now taking away Krugs. This is a massive, massive gap at the moment.
Oh, and Blabber just slides on in for the dive here with a Glacial Prison, but it ain't enough damage to burst Dhokla down. Contractz ready to follow this one up, but they won't get anything back against C9. They'll simply save Dhokla's life. This is a miserable jungle experience for Contractz so far. 32 to 65 in farm. Blabber is doubling his output right now, as C9 will also secure themselves the topside Scuttle Crab. Or will they? Contractz galloping in as Blabber secures it with the Arctic Assault. Fudge locked down. He's cold, and it's Dhokla grabbing the kill. NRG picking up a big one there, and they should be able to get the Rift Herald off the bat.
Yeah, really nice move there from NRG. They call up IgNar again. If bot lane's going to be a farm lane, get active on the map, and he's doing just that with the level 6 Lucian power, but Cloud9 positioning it potentially contest.
C9 does not want to let him have it. Zven goes in immediately for the engage on IgNar. Last auto attack plus the ignite from Zven gets it done. It's the Herald secured by NRG, but now they got to try to escape. Zven with the flash lockdown from the auto attack in the passive as the dredge line finds Contractz for the follow-up. He turns it around with a crash down. C9 have gone too far. Emenes has to run as Palafox and Emenes try to square off. We'll see if Palafox can chase him down. The equalizer from Dhokla trying to provide the slow, but Fudge is back and he's ready. Palafox needs to get back over this wall. He wants to reduce the cooldowns, but he has to spend the flash. NRG are not going down without a fight.
I love it. Fight from both sides. Cloud9 wanted that fight 3v4 at the Rift Herald, immediately deleting IgNar, but NRG, they get the objective, they got that Rift Herald as well as some kills back for them, so they actually cut down on that Cloud9 gold lead, as well as having that pre-existing Mountain Dragon buff in their pockets, so they are still in this one. Let's take another look though. Zven with a beautiful snipe onto IgNar, and once that hook hit, he was basically dead. Emenes lands the Shark, Blabber flashes in for the knockup on the Arctic Assault.
But watch Contractz, this 3-man Shattering Strike here. He catches all 3 as he gets hooked in, then just says, we're turning. He goes for the counter engage there. Dhokla is just cooking him on the Rumble. A really nice turnaround. NRG needed something back. They're trying to be active on the map. They're trying to stay aggressive. It hasn't really hurt the farm of Palafox, but he's been involved in every single kill.
Yeah, they've got to get scrappy. Also, nice instant level up there from Contractz. As soon as they got the kill, he got level 6, leveled the ability, used the ability to lock them in for the extra kills. And Blabber's right back out on the warpath here. See what they can get done. That is an early Sunfire cape and an extra crystal here. So the Sejuani will be very, very tanky. Blabber can force a lot of plays.
Yeah, it's Sunfire versus Bomby Cinder in the jungle. Absolutely massive gap right now.
Yeah, Blabber is actually more than the entire lead of his team. He's up about a 1,400 gold over Contractz right now, and Cloud9 is 1.3k ahead. So Blabber is the advantage. That does give you some hope for the other NRG members, though. Yeah. If they can fight when Blabber is not around, it could look good.
Oh, Glacial Prison with the miss. Shock Blast also not finding the target as Contractz wants to turn it around. Blabber's about to eat the entire culling. Palafox and Contractz, not enough damage to secure the kill. That's the advantage that Blabber had. He's tanky enough to live through those.
Exactly. When I say force plays, that's exactly what I mean. Even when they miss, he still goes for it. Has the extra health that he does survive, but Dhokla's attracted to the scent of blood.
He'll be looking for it. Herald summoned up in mid. They're just going to drop that one for the guaranteed plate money. I don't know if it'll get the full second plate. Not quite. Only that first one. A little bit more damage would be required, but Palafox does not want to overextend on this. NRG has been fighting back real hard to make sure that they stop C9 from just snowballing this early game.
And remember that this is Blabber's 300th game, and if Cloud9 and Blabber win this game, he will have the highest win percentage of any player in the LCS to start for the first 300 at 69%.
Yep, and passing
nice.
Bjergsen with that if he does get the win. So Well, we'll see if he's going to be able to do it. Absolutely would like to make that history here today, but Cloud9 obviously are focused on bigger things. They are looking to get their three-peat, become only the 3rd team in LCS history to be able to make it happen.
Well, both of our marksmen in this game have their static shivs completed, so we're at the point where wave clear is not going to be that much of an issue down here in bottom side, as a teleport from Emenes to immediately join up lets me know that C9 is ready to challenge for the 2nd Drake of the game. NRG forced the first one pretty early, but C9 do not want to allow them to stack. They know they have the advantage in open ground. Dhokla versus Fudge in the top lane. Fudge gets the 1v1. That's the Fudge domination in the top side that C9 wants to rely on, and it means there's no way for NRG to reinforce. C9 will take the Drake too.
Yeah, Fudge rushed a straight up Maw of Mount Mortius, and that makes all the difference. So effective in the 1v1. He knows with the TP advantages, Dhokla's going to be forced to answer him in a lot of these side lanes, and if he can pin him in the side lane in a disadvantageous matchup with that Maw, it is going to be so hard for Dhokla.
Actually so funny to see that shield pop up this early on into the game. Check inventory, and Fudge already rushing it for the 1v1, but he gets paid for it. Gets the kill, gets the solo right here.
Absolutely, and I mean, generally you do just see a pit stop for Hexdrinker, but he knows the power that he has with this. Goes in, stuns him up, slice, dice. He has the ulti popped here. There's the Maw proc, and the Maw proc also gives you that lifesteal as well, so it is incredibly powerful when it does proc. You know, this early on, it's already a 381 magic damage shield for Fudge, plus the 12% lifesteal that he's going to proc, and you're sitting on only 2k health. That's a tremendous amount.
Yeah. You normally expect a Hexdrinker. That's the big thing for me is, yeah, that's something you can play around. But the entire Maw, Fudge is in a great spot in this 1v1.
Yeah.
Dhokla's going to need more help. But the problem is, so does everybody on the side of NRG right now. Plus 2.3 thousand gold lead for C9. Emenes can just clear out the waves down here in the bottom lane. He's not in any real danger, as Berserker can see NRG clearing out that control ward placed down by C9 in the side river here. What is the next play for NRG to try to slow this down a little more?
I mean, I think they're just playing around right now, Palafox, who is their strongest member, but FBI has also quietly become very strong. He's farming up a Storm. He's about 20 CS up on Berserker right now. When he gets his 2nd item, when Palafox gets his 2nd item, I think they're going to be looking to team fight pretty much nonstop. Dhokla will have level 11 by that point. That's the level 2 for the equalizer, and you just look to group, you look to force 5v5s and try to catch out some of these squishier members like Emenes and Berserker.
And coming up pretty quickly here, we've got Rift Herald number 2 arriving, as are all 10 players.
Blabber goes in, Zven's ready to follow. IgNar zones away the carries of Cloud9, and Contractz barely escapes. Now Emenes in some danger as FBI is firing back. Palafox and Dhokla making their way down to the battle now as Palafox dashes over the wall. NRG chases Cloud9 back away. It's only Emenes who's seriously hurt in that, but it's Blabber's ulti spent. Zven and Berserker all dropping ults there. IgNar and FBI also trading theirs, but Contractz and Dhokla have that Rell and Rumble combo that is so devastating. C9 starting up the Rift Herald. NRG still ready to challenge, trying to move into the river. They're stuck on the ramp right now. Herald down to half HP. NRG still approaching. It's a 4v4. Contractz is not in the area just yet. The Herald's going to be secured by C9. IgNar dashing back over to his teammate. Blabber tries to get away. A nice engage with the grand entrance coming out from IgNar as the calling again finds Blabber. Sejuani with the flash back over the wall. He's going to live as Dhokla continues the chase. The ignite is on Zven. The flash for the follow, so Dhokla gets the kill. NRG will end up with the +1, but it's C9 taking the objective.
And if you go look at why they did that, it's because out of the little skirmish, even though there were no kills, they chunked down Contractz to only 200 HP. So Contractz went back to base. Cloud9 no. Even if he's sticking around for a possible smite steal, he's going to be low and it's going to be a free kill. So they rush down the objective. It does end up costing them one though.
Fudge already sitting in the bush with the dominance to charge up the rage. He knows Dhokla already spent the flash, but Dhokla with the slows from the Electro Harpoons can do enough to get away.
Exactly, those slows do stack. He was able to tag him with both the E's, that gives him enough there to walk away with the scrap shield move speed. So nicely done there by Dhokla. Fudge wanted to get aggressive because he knew there's no equalizer on Dhokla. And if there's no equalizer on him, there's no ability whatsoever for him to fight back now against the Croc.
Man, this one is seriously getting out of hand for NRG. We'll see if Palafox can keep himself out of harm's way here. All right, he's all right, he's all right. C9 with control over the bot side river right now, seeing if maybe NRG gets a little bit too curious about some of these patches of fog here on the map right now. No Drake for another 45 seconds or so, but that does mean it's about time to be setting up for things. Only one Drake so far for either team, so no immediate soul stacking effect just yet, as Emenes and Zven figure out any of the vision NRG are placing down. They have brought all 5 players down here on NRG's side.
And Palafox had 1,200 gold in inventory, so he wanted to go get his base before this dragon, but he was on a ward, so I want to see if Cloud9 do anything. Currently, they just got the split push advantage with Fudge on top side. He's got his Unleashed teleport ready, so Renekton will get up to that top tower, force this wave in, minions start dying, get a bunch of extra damage, and be ready to join the fight.
And Palafox now is going to be the one who's going to have to answer side lanes against Fudge because there is no TP on Dhokla, so Dhokla is going to be forced to just kind of be grouped around those objectives whenever one is up. It also means there's less value from that Maw, obviously not a lot of magic damage dealt by the Lucian.
All right, Herald summon up mid, should have enough damage to knock down the turret on its own, I believe. Not quite, just barely missed it. FBI going in, forcing the flash on a Berserker, but now it's IgNar who might be in some trouble. Glacial Prison locked him down, but C9 didn't have the damage to follow it up just yet. NRG making their way back down to the bot side river for now.
Nice positioning there by IgNar to soak that Sejuani ult.
Really nice decision as well by FBI. Get this ultimate off, he gets the flash out of Berserker, but they're gonna still fight this one.
Contractz.
C9 thinking about the approach. They decide it's not worth it. They're gonna back away, and NRG will take their second Drake of the game.
NRG looking, see if they can catch anyone here. The tower's going to drop.
Not quite, the engage coming out from NRG. Zven's gonna be the target and he dies immediately. He drops the ult to try to do anything, but it won't do a thing. Nicely played.
They do get the tier 1 mid though, and they're pinging towards the tier 1 top, so it is Fudge just running straight up there. You can see that both Contractz and Palafox are moving to try to cover that turret. They don't want to give away even more gold, but I don't know. We'll see if they can actually say anything about it.
Palafox can move up in time. Piercing Light clears out the wave. Fudge will not be able to force it down just yet.
Emenes is here. He's going to try to play a little bit dumb. You know, Fudge is going to walk forward, maybe try to bait out this play because they did spot Contractz. So if they can get him to engage, it would be a really good 2v2 for C9.
But Contractz finding that ward, that then alerts them, okay, let's not go for this play. Cloud9 know I'm here. So if he extends, it's probably a bait and they don't want to take it.
They know that you know. That's the problem. So they're going to go ahead. Everybody's calling it off in top lane. Both sides became wise to what the other one was planning. Still a 3,000 gold lead. 19 minutes in for the side of C9. 6-6 in kills. 2-1 in Drake's favoring NRG. But it still feels like they're the ones always trying to respond to what C9's bringing to the table.
A couple of nice little tech choices here from C9. You can see it's Luden's second instead of the more common third for Berserker. This is basically him saying he doesn't think he's going to get a lot of auto attacks out. He's going to favor the poke in these situations. He's not going to be free hitting where the Nasher's going to have that additional value. And it's not anything complicated, but I love the locket from Zven. Against Rumble, you're always going to have tremendous value. There's so much AoE damage.
Exactly. Let's see how they group up for the next one here. Berserker with no flash as well has to be a lot more cautious.
Yes, sir.
FBI kind of taking matters into his own hands when he saw him mid trying to jump on him there, and you saw the burst damage possible with the Zeri ultimate with that static shift. So let's see how Cloud9 play around it, because rightly so, we highlighted Berserker and have been doing so all summer long for Cloud9. It's been the biggest win condition for them.
And I just feel like already twice this game, we've seen situations where if Blabber wasn't as far ahead as he is, he would have died. He's eaten a couple different full channel cullings, but he's so far ahead of the curve of the game, it keeps him alive. And I feel like we're going to continue to see C9 playing around, just haphazardly throwing the piggy in the middle of the brawl because he's tanky enough to live through it. So for NRG, can you ever get to the point where you can actually burst through that? I feel like it's going to have to be up to FBI.
Yeah, I mean, I think FBI and Palafox are both going to be able to put out a tremendous amount of damage later on. You know, generally damage does start to kind of outpace the itemization of tanks as you get late on in the game. So I do think there will be that point, maybe not where they can just burst them, so to say,
right,
but they can definitely deal with them.
They can get slow burst.
Yeah. They're going to have high DPS. Between Zeri and Lucian, especially, you know, this is not like the old lethality Lucian where you're just your ult. This is going to be, you know, Kraken's layer into Quick Blades. He does a lot of DPS. If you're able to stay in the mix, that's just the X factor. That's the difficulty, because Lucian is pretty short range. So anytime you're stepping forward, you're exposing yourself to a potential engage from Cloud9.
Quick Blades Lucian is my favorite iteration of this champion because it gets your cooldown so low, you have to constantly be aware of every new spell that's coming up to sling, and that just, it's a ton of fun to watch if it's played to the maximum, but it's so hard to do.
It absolutely is, right? You're really riding that line. You're playing close to your opponents. You're trying to weave in these spells with autos perfectly, and you're trying to maximize that damage, and we'll see if he's going to be able to do it, because Palafox has been incredible throughout playoffs. You know, NRG, I think, is a team that really have felt overlooked and underrated. They didn't have a single person on All-Pro. They didn't win Coach of the Split. They're going up against a team that is all pros, and they've fought against and beaten teams that have tons of all pros. So I do think, you know, they're really trying to prove themselves and take their spot amongst the best in the league.
And especially with this being the mid lane matchup, you're talking about all pro. Everybody was looking at that saying, like, you know, Emenes got third all pro for mid. A lot of people thought Palafox should have deserved it.
Yeah.
What if not now is the best time to ever prove that notion right if you're on NRG?
Well, it's going to be a hard task for NRG because they are currently down over 3,000 gold in this game, and the Dragon is about to come up here, so they've sent Emenes to the top side with his teleport to be able to push out top side and join the fight.
And I think we're likely to see a big brawl over this Dragon. You know, NRG would like to move towards 3 Dragons here. You know, they have a lot of early power. The Zonias is likely going to be done for Dhokla if he has time to base. He has all the components to kind of hit that benchmark I was talking about earlier, where you have 2 items of both your ADs. You have that level 11 ulti here for Dhokla. And I think NRG are going to want to scrap, but we'll see if they can set it up. Because if Dhokla doesn't move down now, Cloud9 have double TP, and Emenes can TP down, so Dhokla needs to start moving.
And remember, Berserker just wants to poke on this Kai'Sa build here, so he's just throwing out W after W Void Seekers here, trying to fish for some extra damage early on. And here comes Emenes. He's pushed up the top side, so he's come down for the Dragon. Double poke has arrived.
Yeah, this is a bit of a problem, but Dhokla has arrived. We're ready to go. Contractz goes in for the Shattering Strike. Again, they're going to focus on Zven.
Fudge is behind him.
Quickness, but Fudge is coming around from behind. Palafox is already dead. Can the Equalizer do anything? Contractz is about to burn. C9 getting roasted by the flames.
Zeri!
He's dead just yet. FBI might be ready to pop off. He's continuing to try to chase. Dhokla kills Fudge. FBI still looking, but C9 is not done yet. Contractz getting hit with a Void Seeker. Emenes coming in from the side. Contractz staying alive for now. Void Seeker on FBI. They go back in, but it's Emenes finding 2. IgNar has to disengage. FBI's been caught by Blabber. C9 is just better.
Emenes and Berserker pick them apart from behind. The poke behind them just dissects NRG, and they are actually going to go towards Baron here. Cloud9, they want to rush it down. Palafox will be up, but that's about it. Him and IgNar are the only hopes here for NRG, and Cloud9 can burn it down.
No vision, no chance for Palafox to do anything, so Cloud9 take the fight. They're going to get the Baron as well. They don't even make the pit stop at the Dragon. We'll see if NRG can take the consolation prize, but it's 24 minutes in, 7.6k gold lead, and Cloud9 just played this fight out so well. There was all these little things that made the difference. Really, the beginning of the fight is dictated by Fudge. Fudge, at the very top of your screen here, coming around on this angle, is able to find Palafox. He sets it all up, gets in on Palafox, flash, stun, that sets up the killer instinct. And then watch, you start thinking, hey, maybe Zeri can take over this fight. Watch right here, this speed shrine made such a huge difference as the double Cloud9 members are able to get that move speed just barely out of auto range there. If that was a crab taken by NRG, I think FBI chases down and kills them both off.
Hold on, we're not done. Blabber's been caught, and finally, NRG can burn through him. A critical pick to slow down what Cloud9 would want to be doing with this Baron, but Fudge is split pushing in the top lane.
NRG have also picked up Dragon number 3 while we were in that replay, so they got an objective in trade as well. As you say, though, Fudge increases the gold lead, gets the top tower there for Cloud9. They are extremely rich, despite giving over Blabber's second death.
NRG just have to try to dig in and defend for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 4 turrets taken so far by C9, which means there's still 2 of those tier 2s up. Those can often be just brute force down once you have the Baron. And considering the amount of gold they're both worth, you do not want to yield those unless you absolutely have to.
And Cloud9 can continue playing through these side lanes, right? You know, especially if they can push up, get some more vision, it's going to make things a lot easier. NRG is really trying to defend vision in this section of the map. You know, you can see this area, they're trying to defend that kind of vision line over here, you know, at that spot to make it so it's difficult for Emenes to push up, take those towers, because Cloud9 has double TP. There's just the one on Palafox, so NRG is going to really have a difficult time answering a 1-3-1.
They certainly are going to have a difficult time. It's 3-item Kai'Sa. The Nashers has been finished by Berserker, so the poke damage here from Cloud9 is just brutal as they come over with the Baron buff. You can see they're not even going up to the tower. They're not even letting NRG have an opening to go for an engage on them, just poking them from the jungle from afar here. Baron buff constantly pushing up these waves to keep on the pressure.
And neither of these ADs have any lifesteal in their build. They have not been able to actually get towards a BT or anything like that, so they cannot shrug off this poke whatsoever, even if they have access to a minion wave.
Jayce Kai'Sa is so oppressive when they're ahead, just constantly having to play dodgeball with these projectiles. Plus 8.1 thousand gold now for C9, about 27 minutes into the game. 20 seconds remain on the Baron buff. They have one wave in mid that they might try to force down that tier 2 with. Emenes, though, getting caught, forced to use the stopwatch. IgNar just sitting on top of him with a quickness so they can guarantee the burst. But now C9's ready to fight it back. Magnet Storm on 3 from Contractz. Fudge is locked down for now, but he makes his way into the fight, and FBI is going to be killed immediately. Fudge is still going forward. Energy falling back as the Glacial Prison explodes. Contractz with a crash down, back onto the Croc. Palafox wants to dash back and find some damage, but he can't do it. IgNar falls too. A triple kill to Berserker, and C9 are on the warpath.
I think Cloud9 might have just done it. They look like they want to try to push for the win here. We'll see if the soul laners of NRG can hold them off, or if Cloud9 are going to back up. They're moving for the end.
C9 are ready to try to end it right here. Palafox and Dhokla wanted to defend, but Palafox has immediately jumped on with the Lucian gone. C9 still have the ending of this game in their eyes. One minion left at the Nexus turrets. Dhokla again using the stasis with a flame spitter to buy enough time. He'll force them back and give NRG one last chance.
Yeah, Dhokla is going to save it for now with that Zhonya's. Burns down the minion wave. But my goodness, the damage dealt by the 4 remaining members of Cloud9 is massive here. They take out Emenes from the very beginning of this fight. So NRG, they do use a lot. IgNar uses a full combo there to take him down. Contractz does get the initiation, but it's only on the front line. And as soon as Blabber tags FBI and that beefy Cloud9 front line gets right up to your carry, immediately Berserker ults in, takes care of business, chases them all down, and the Cloud9 front line being so tanky, allowing him so much space to work with and so much freedom to choose his moment to go in and chop them down. Is Cloud9's ticket inside the base.
Absolutely. I really liked how Berserker was very patient there, because I think a lot of players might have tried to push past Dhokla. You know, he was kind of zoned out of the initial fight, but he bided his time. He waited. They're communicating with Zven. Zven hits that death charge onto FBI. That applies to Plasma, lets him get in there and finish him off. So really smart, calm, cool, collected play from Berserker. Gets that triple kill, has a 4th item, and Cloud9 now on the march here, looking to try to put the finishing touches on what has been a dominant game number 1.
The Void Seeker, Void Staff combination. The magic penetration for that poke, very, very devastating. And with the bottom side inhibitor already down, Cloud9, they can just keep control of mid lane long enough for the dragon to spawn. Go make sure that that dragon is gone. Take it for yourself so that there's no big comeback mechanic for NRG, grabbing a soul and getting some objective bounty shutdown or anything. Then return to the siege and finish your business.
It's a Zeri moment or bust for NRG at this point. You either have FBI get a pentakill off of some crazy engage from IgNar and Contractz, or the game is just too far gone. A 10,000 gold lead is so much of a wall to have to punch through. 30 minutes into the game, C9 is going to grab their second Drake. They will prevent NRG from taking the soul. Baron spawns in 15 seconds. I would have to think that's going to be the call, and then just try to end the game from there. NRG are going to have one last shot, and that's it.
All right, here we go. They've got early vision control over Baron at the very least. Your other hope is getting a really big burst kill on someone. If they can brush camp somewhere for Cloud9. Right now they're looking at Fudge. He does have flash though, so that's a bit reaching.
Yeah. Fudge can get away from that one pretty easily. IgNar's got to rejoin with the rest of the team. He wants to try to look for some kind of a flank, but it's also so dangerous. If C9 spots him out, they can blow him up instantly.
Yeah, it is really, really difficult. I mean, you want to say go for Berserker, but he has Cleanse. You want to say go for Emenes, but he has Edge of Night. You know, there's a lot of tools here that are going to block that initial engage potentially, so it does make it that much more difficult. And Cloud9 are not going to allow NRG to bide their time. They're going to force their hand here and look for a turn potentially off of Baron.
Blabber's over the wall. Keep your eyes out for the Glacial Prison. Baron's still at 8,000 HP. Contractz jumps in with a crash down. Meanwhile, back in the base, the minions are tearing apart NRG's Nexus turrets. C9 just keeping him here right now, allowing those minions to go to work. They don't even have to worry about the Baron. Contractz trying to find something as Emenes misses the accelerated shock blast. The second Nexus turret is already half dead. C9 knows they just gotta kite these guys around. Blabber and Fudge disengaging as NRG have now taken control over the Baron pit. Contractz goes in for the Magnet Storm. A lot of damage on Fudge, and Blabber's already dead. C9 looking to find their way back in as Berserker goes over the wall looking for FBI, but Dhokla's ready to turn it around. Palafox chased down with a Veps charge. Emenes is ready to clean him up, and the carries are already dead. C9 are gonna win the fight. Their minions are gonna win the game. They are gonna take it. It's an ace for Blabber, a triple kill for Emenes, and Fudge will use his teleport to end this game off of it.
Pose for a picture, Fudge, because you've got the spotlight there with the minions at the Nexus. He finishes up his extra CS, and he's going to take game number 1. 13,000 gold ahead for Cloud9, 32 minutes in.
It started with an attempted dive in top lane. It led to a jungle gap with a capital G, and Cloud9 never lost control.
And a deathless Berserker, 0 deaths, the only player in the whole game not to die. 606 on the Kai'Sa. Massive, massive stuff here from Cloud9 in the opener.
Yeah, Cloud9 playing it out really well. Blabber quick to respond to that top lane dive on the stacked wave, and from there it felt like Cloud9 really never took their foot off the gas. They're playing through side lanes, utilizing the double TP incredibly well. But I think if you are NRG, you're looking back at that failed dive. Contractz really dropped the ball on that one, stepped out of tower range when he was trying to hold the turret aggro, got a little bit too far away. That put the aggro onto Dhokla, meant they failed that dive, meant 2 kills went over to Cloud9, and that started the snowball rolling that created that massive jungle gap. So you don't want to blame an entire game on one play, but at the same time, it's hard to overlook it when you're playing with Ignite Rumble, when you're not playing double TP, and when you hard commit to a play and it goes that bad. That can change the course of the entire game.
It's those early mistakes, as small as they might seem in the moment, that can warp the entirety of the gameplay afterwards. But it's still a C9 win at the end of game 1. So let's head on over to the LCS Lounge to break it all down.
Thank you so much, Flowers. Cloud9 has done it. Blabber has done it. And we've brought Disguised Toast onto the desk to help us celebrate game 1 of our LCS Championship. But Disguised Toast, did you know you were about to witness history in just game 1 of the series, with Blabber becoming in the winningest between 300 games?
No, I did not until 5 minutes ago. But it's very exciting to be part of history.
I mean, look at that, right? You talk, or you hear all kinds of talk about the greats who have come through this league, the LCS. Bjergsen being surpassed, eclipsed by just 1 win through 300, 69%.
Nothing more gamer.
Nice.
Nice. It is super cool, though, to see how good his career has been and how he's basically the only person it feels like who had this available. He's been the best player in the last 5 years by quite a big margin.
I mean, it's pretty wild to think, right? When he came onto the scene, his very first split, people were starting to target him as like, watch this guy's career and what he could do to start to change the conversation around NA greats. And in this game alone, I think he put a lot of his prowess on display, why it was that he was identified so early on, Jat, as a difference maker in this league.
I think if NRG plays this better, they can actually get first blood onto Fudge, but they fail it. Contractz ends up losing his top laner and his life, and then Blabber gets a 50 CS lead.
Yeah, and this kind of set the tone for the early game, where we actually still saw NRG going for a lot of these plays. When we did see, I know Thinkar called out Insanity, bringing the Lucian mid into the Jayce. We've also seen it a bit in VCS, actually, as an answer in the mid lane. I was kind of surprised they didn't go for a play around there first, especially since the way C9 were able to respond to these.
I'm having flashbacks from when Toast and I casted the Tyler 1 Championship series together in his bedroom. Now he's on the LCS stage talking about the finals. It's a pretty big glow up.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
You and me, man.
The first time, I mean, I've known Mark for 6-7 years now. I just remember casting him in my bedroom for an event, and now it's really cool to be part of the whole NACL and LCS ecosystem.
I was gonna say, I mean, let's dive into that a little bit more, especially considering the conversation around players like Blabber, right, who came out of the endemic ecosystem all the way back to 2017, being cherry-picked out of scouting grounds. You now, in a lot of ways, running DSG, are kind of charged with looking for the next bits of talent within the NA ecosystem. Do you take some amount of pride in the performance Blabber's put up as proof, that there is more talent out there that you can find?
Yeah, definitely. Blabber coming from Cloud9, and our DSG team had a few Cloud9 members, and you can really see them develop this talent natively, as well as the success of APA on Team Liquid. At the beginning of the year, he was in Challengers, and he kicked our asses, and then I was like, what? This guy does not belong in the NACL. He's too good. And then seeing him go to Worlds is a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, very cool to see these players get their shots and then prove that that shot was worth it. Fast forward, 3-4 years later, and boom, Blabber, vying for yet another title.
Yeah, but if we got to be honest about how this game went, we have to talk about Berserker absolutely popping off. You saw that one team fight there where he went in early, had to back out of the fight, and then re-engage later with Emenes. Both of them had great performances. And he became kind of the target for them, but they still could never kill him.
Yeah, Berserker is this late game cheat code for Cloud9, it feels like. Even when the game is close, as long as Berserker's getting his items, Cloud9's going to win.
Okay, late game cheat code, but let's be honest, Emily, that game extended quite a bit. We started to see a little bit of that messiness, for lack of a better word, that, could result in NRG victories, and why a lot of people are saying, in the face of now the 7-0, run through playoffs that Cloud9 has put up, that this is not a sure thing.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated NRG continuing to go for these plays. Even that late, Baron call, right? It's you guys are down so much. What else are you going to do in that situation? It actually looked good for them for a minute. Nice. Got some fans in the audience.
Also, the Golden Guardians hoodie right there. Gotta love that as well, making its reappearance. Speaking about what's to come next, obviously Game 2 right around the corner, but I want to know what's next for you, Disguised Toast. You won the NACL Championship, already a trophy in the case. Now we're diving into the off-season. What's in store?
Got it. Well, with the NACL, it's kind of like the future of League of Legends, and here at the LCS, it's the present of League of Legends. But let's not forget the people that got League to where
the boomers!
These days, so we're announcing the NA Legends Invitational. We're hosting it with Riot, LCS, NACL, and each team will have 3 streamers, old school players such as Skara, Yasuo, Afromove, Sneaky, as well as some of your other favorites that will be playing on the team. 1 LCS player and 1 NACL player. And we're going to be doing the draft September 3rd, so we're going to see the clash of NA talent from all generations.
Do you know how many teams there are going to be yet?
4 teams.
4 teams.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I remember.
Streams.
Yeah, I remember watching the Disguised Toast invitational earlier when your team played against another group, including Skara. Did you listen to their comms at all? Because they were hilarious. I know you were live streaming it, but
yeah, listening to their scrims and comms, it's just all jokes and memes and nothing serious. And they haven't played League in a while, so they think certain champions do certain things, and it doesn't work.
When did this get changed?
That is too good. Do you have, of those LCS pro players that you've locked down, have you targeted one where you're like, this one's still kept up though, and is the front runner for that tournament?
We've talked to a few. We can't leak any agreements, but there's going to be some names, especially in the LCS slot. I think will be very exciting.
All right, sweet. Hey, leaving something for the fans to look forward to. Disguised Toast, thank you so much for joining us here to break down Game 1 and preview that awesome off-season event that is coming your way. We're heading to a break before Game 2. As we wait, though, let's take a look next door at Red Bull's Aramaland.
As you can see, we're wrapping things up here at Red Bull Aramaland. We gave away a ton of prizes, we had a ton of games, and spoke with some of your favorite influencers in the league space. Guys, how's the event been so far for y'all?
It's been wonderful so far.
Oh, it's been amazing. Watching all the games, being outside in the streets and doing all the events, it's been so much fun.
Oh, it's been great. I won this headset thanks to the Red Bull giveaway, which is awesome.
What champion do you always reroll when you play ARAMs?
Ooh, when I always re-roll, I'm gonna say Sion.
Get rid of Yumi.
I hate Olaf.
Trendemir. And then with this weekend's LCS Championship, who do you think is going to win?
I think Cloud9's going to win, but I want NRG to win.
Ooh, C9, you know, that's my team. I think they're gonna take it four times in a row.
C9! All right.
I feel like the obvious answer is C9, but I'm an underdog fan. I'm hoping NRG can take this one through.
Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
Typical beginner's mistake.
Yes, they all start from the outside.
So, will we help him?
What else? Here, try it with Red Bull.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Dude, I know these noodles are your specialty, but they are just not hitting tonight.
I know. I want that.
Me too.
It's beautiful.
Breathtaking. Tiramisu.
Is there anything she can't do?
I wish I could reach into the TV and grab that fancy cake for you, but I've recently learned that's not how TVs work. Go for what you really want. Go for Grubhub.
We live with a genius.
Go for cravings. Go for Grubhub.